going on, y'all? Your man June Archer here, Harlem, New York, Magic Johnson Theater, 1001, featuring the one and only Teyana Taylor, Catlett. Amazing cast of people going to be here tonight. Some special interviews getting ready to happen. Keep it locked right here. It's your man June Archer, the Winner Circle. What was the inspiration behind this amazing movie?
I think there was so much that I was trying to say with this film. I think I did want to honor mother and son relationships, particularly the healing that needs to happen when there is some challenges in that dynamic. I wanted to talk about New York. I think just coming of age in this era and recognizing the ways that it changed, and I mean particularly gentrification and the impact of that on black communities. I felt like we were being erased and pushed out of the city altogether. So I definitely wanted to acknowledge that, especially for Harlem, which means something not only to New Yorkers, but to black identity and heritage period, and I think to American history as well. I think it's devastating, and it's devastating for people that have been fighting across generations, like my character, for a sense of home, for a sense of stability, and for family, and I think all of those things are so powerful, and you see the beauty of that in the film, but you also see what it means when that's robbed and taken away from people. I think I also wanted to just really honor black women. I think that inner city black women especially are made to feel so misunderstood and invisible in society, and so I really wanted this movie to be my love letter to them, and I really wanted to use Inez's journey as a way to present the question, who really is fighting for black women? I think you see across the movie she's fighting for everyone else, giving so much of herself to everyone else, but who is giving her that in return? And I really wanted to use this story as a way to showcase how much we want to feel fully loved and not just needed.
What is it going to take to greenlight more projects like this?
I think it's really about the whole community within the industry supporting each other, pushing each other, lifting each other up. That's really all I'm doing, is just sort of standing beside folks and being supportive and making sure we're having those conversations. But I think we all can lift each other up. And I think particularly in our industry, within like Black Hollywood, like we really got each other's backs. And I think we continue to show up for each other. We continue to show that. And I think this movie will be no different. We will show up for each other. Teyana, myself, AV, Rishi, we have so many relationships, so many friends that want to support it, not just because we're involved, but because they want to see more work like this. So that's our hope. It's sort of it's a win-win. It's a win-win.
All right, I got one of the stars here, my man Aaron. How does it feel to be on this red carpet tonight?
It feels fun. It feels fun because I get to see everyone.
How old are you, brother?
I'm 7 years old.
7 years old, and you are starring in a major film, and you're in Harlem, New York, Magic Johnson Theater. For the kids who are looking to do what you're doing, what is the best piece of advice that you could give them?
The best piece of advice is to just stay calm and stay focused on the role.
What is the biggest takeaway that you learned from being in this movie and things that you actually saw happening in this movie?
My takeaway would have to be, the hardships of a mom. Like I never knew like what moms have to go through, and it brought my respect level for mothers, because mothers do go through a lot, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize how much moms go through. You feel me? So I feel like I feel like when people watch this movie, they'll understand like everything with what moms have to go through, with kids that have to figure themselves out, and that's really it.
How important is this story culturally?
I think one of the most important things for you to feel powerful is to have that power emulated. It's like to see it. And so when I watch this film and sit in that theater and watching this thing happen in front of me, if it was my story in a way, it'd be happening in Spanish. But it's like I was like, yo, this is what we went through. Like I remember that conversation, or I remembered that silence. Because it's like love isn't always just the joy. Love is also the hard silences. Love is the unanswered questions and not having the answer to the question. And I think that that's something that this movie does beautifully. I think that it's something that this film, what I hope people take away from it is that as they move through it and as they see it, they recognize that their story is powerful and that their experience is important. And because that's something I'm trying to learn from myself, and something that I'm really grateful to AV Rockwell, who's bringing this, stories like this and that power to all of us who go through experiences like this.
How does this feel to play this role in this movie?
Okay, so that's a two-part answer. It felt pretty gross, also like a massive honor. It felt like I was being trusted by the filmmakers to bring something specific, and so I tried to do that, even though I did not like the character himself. It's not like he's uncommon, and it's not like he doesn't look like me. So I feel like it's important to honor the words like that, and I had a really good time. I also had unbelievable vision and guidance from Aven Rockwell and the rest of the cast, and we just had a tremendous time. It was a true honor to play that character, even though, like I said, I think he's a bit of a dirtbag.
This story is important to be told because it's not just Inez's story. There are so many people who were impacted in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, and even today by systems that were put in place to help people of color and to help people, period. And those systems, I believe, wanted to help, but somehow they failed us. And because of the impact of that failing, those people might have been seen as less than, but they weren't. You know what I mean? Like, their stories are not no less deserving because they weren't in a certain social class, or because they didn't speak a certain way, or because they went to jail. You know what I mean? Like, what you've been through shouldn't define you. They're still human. They're still people. They still deserve compassion and love and empathy. And so I'm really hoping that this story leads to amplification and their voices being amplified, so we get to see more stories like this, because art it's supposed to imitate life, you know? And we shouldn't only see certain types of stories, especially when this is our story. And so I really love that Aven Rockwell took on the challenge. I don't know if it was a challenge for her or not, so I don't want to say that.
Right.
But she wrote from her heart what she saw in her community, and she spoke honestly and vulnerably and truthfully. You know what I mean? Because there are going to be so many people, not just women, but children and men who see this story, and they're going to see themselves. They're going to see their childhood. They're going to see someone that they know, that they love. And so I am excited, and I champion this story because we all know an Inez.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the amazing Will Catlett here, one of my favorite actors. Brother, you've been doing it for some time now. I believe, this is my personal opinion, underrated. You put the work in. You shine, brother. Why is this story so important, told through the eyes of a woman, a black woman? But I feel like men get the bad end of the stick because I don't want to date that woman because she got a child. When in fact, you never know what kind of blessing you would be. And you step into this role doing something magnificent. What does it mean to be that man to step up and provide for a young man of color?
I think it's your duty as a man. You know, I have a great father. My dad's here with me tonight. He's 80 years old. You know, he sacrificed a lot to, you know, for me to be able to stand here. You know, served in the military, served in the government. You know, and I think with men obligation, you see, women, they lose their way when a man is not in his way, you know, because how can you have somebody follow you if you don't know where you're going? And Lucky, even though his life is not together, he's not ready-made, but he understands where he's going, and he try to put that into the young Terri, the 13-year-old, the 6-year-old, and the 17-year-old. So, you know, and answer your question, I want to just piggyback on, you know, underrated. I think God always has a perfect time to reveal his people.
Amen.
You know what I mean? And you got to wait on your time. You know, you want longevity. You don't want a quick pop. You know, so even this film was a labor of love, you know. And so now people like yourself and other people are getting to experience, you know, God's gift that he's given me, you know, and I'm excited to share it.
What was the inspiration behind this movie for you?
I mean, honestly, you know, I'm sure you probably already seen the film. If you didn't, you'll see it tonight. You know, it's just about a mother's strength, you know, and just how much of superheroes we are, you know what I'm saying? But also showing the nitty-gritty of it, you know, and even though we go through what we go through and we have our ups and downs, we still walk in our faith walk, you know what I'm saying? It just goes to show that can't nobody stop us, you know? We hustlers, we grinders, and that's what it's all about.
It's the 50th year of hip-hop. So music is a soundtrack to our life. What artist best represents your journey up to this point?
Ooh, that is actually a really great question. Lauryn, the miseducation of Lauryn Hill, you know, because she hit it all. You know what I'm saying, about her journey, her career, even Zion, when it was time to have her babies, and just also just like following her heart, you know what I'm saying? So I would definitely want to say that that's kind of like the soundtrack to my life. as Inez and just like my whole journey, you know, within the industry and just navigating life.